Iran, a name often in news headlines, is a land of ancient history and modern complexities. With a civilization stretching back millennia, its 2,500-kilometer coastline borders the Caspian Sea to the north and the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman to the south. Despite this extensive maritime presence and rich history, Iran lacks the sprawling coastal metropolises seen elsewhere globally like Shanghai or Mumbai. This prompts the question, why has Iran not developed major coastal urban centers? Iran is the birthplace of the Persian Empire, where legendary rulers like Cyrus the Great and Darius the First left enduring legacies. It gifted the world Rumi's poetry, medical advancements, and stunning art and architecture. Iran's diverse geography, from the Alborz Mountains to scorching deserts, and its renowned cuisines such as tahdig and gourmet sabzi, suggest a potential for vibrant coastal cities. Yet, this potential remains largely unrealized. The southern coastline along the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman holds strategic and economic promise, but hosts mainly functional ports like Bandar Abbas, not tourist hubs. The northern Caspian coast, with towns like Rasht and Bandar Anzali, faces challenges like swampy terrain and mountainous backdrops, hindering large-scale urban development. Thus, Iran's coastline, despite its beauty and strategic value, is underutilized globally, a stark contrast to many nations with similar maritime assets. To understand this phenomenon, we must delve into Iran's geographical intricacies. Its unique and often challenging terrain holds many answers. Iran's landscape is not flat and easily manageable like the Netherlands. It is a land of wild, rugged beauty. The formidable Zagros Mountains dominate the western expanse while the majestic Alborz range guards the north. These mountains have profoundly shaped Iran's history, culture, and its lack of large coastal cities. The Caspian Sea coast, hemmed in by the Alborz Mountains, offers only a narrow strip of land for cities. Towns like Rasht and Bandar Anzali exist, but are not major urban centers due to difficult construction conditions, mountainous terrain, and high humidity, making inland settlements historically more attractive. The southern coastline, bordering the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman, despite its strategic importance, is also far from inviting for large-scale urbanization. Intense heat often confines people indoors, and limited freshwater resources are a critical issue. Cities like Bandar Abbas are functional industrial ports, not idyllic resorts. The terrain itself is a hurdle. Much of the southern coastline is rocky and arid, making large-scale urban development an engineering nightmare, unlike the flat, sandy expanses that allow Dubai's transformation. Furthermore, the region's seismic activity multiplies the risks of major construction. Even the Gulf's strategic location for oil exports and trade has downsides. It is a geopolitical hotspot, particularly the Strait of Hormuz, a critical choke point that has seen considerable tension. Building major cities in such a volatile area adds complexity, making inland development seem safer. Rewinding to ancient Persia, large coastal cities weren't a strategic priority. The Persian Empire flourished by controlling overland trade routes like the Silk Road, which thrived in Iran. Caravanserais dotted the landscape, making inland cities the empire's lifeblood. Coasts remained peripheral, serving as gateways rather than power centers. This historical precedent established a lasting inland focus. During the age of European maritime dominance, as nations like Portugal and Britain turned to the seas, Iran reinforced its inland strength. Coastal vulnerability was a serious concern. Why build a megacity on the coast, an easy target for colonial powers? Instead, Iran fortified its heartland, creating resilient cities far from naval reach. Even with modern shipping and global trade, this inland focus didn't fundamentally shift. During the Qajar and Pahlavi eras, investments in railroads and highways primarily connected inland regions, not prioritizing ports. Coastal towns like Bandar Abbas served for imports and exports but never grew into metropolises. The emphasis remained on controlling the interior, seen as the key to national power. In the contemporary era, economic factors persist in hindering coastal development. It's an expensive endeavor requiring substantial infrastructure, reliable fresh water, and incentives for people to live there. Significant challenges where geography and climate aren't welcoming. water scarcity is acute. Down south, fresh water is scarce, desalination is pricey, and the power grid is strained. Overarching political and economic realities also play a role. Iran's economy has faced sanctions, mismanagement, and limited foreign investment. Oil wealth hasn't translated into significant coastal city development. Instead of vibrant hubs, they often appear in arrested development. Environmental challenges add another layer: rising sea levels in the north, desertification in the south, and the ever-present threat of earthquakes. Chabahar, a port on the Gulf of Oman, shows promise. Its proximity to international shipping routes makes it a candidate for a major trade hub. However, bureaucratic hurdles have so far prevented it from reaching its full potential, a symbol of what could be. Historically, Persian culture has centered more on inland life than maritime pursuits. Unlike the Greeks or British, who embraced the sea for exploration and trade, Persians traditionally favored mountains, rivers, and fertile valleys, viewing the sea with caution. Persian poetry eloquently describes gardens and seasons but rarely mentions the sea. Even today, Iranians dreaming of an escape often picture lush mountain villages, not sandy beaches. Coastal life isn't integral to their cultural imagination. This bias, paired with political, economic, and environmental hurdles, keeps Iran's shores from shining globally. A comparison with Iran's Persian Gulf neighbors is illuminating. These countries have transformed their coastlines into symbols of modernity and ambition. The UAE, for example, turned Dubai and Abu Dhabi from humble villages into glittering metropolises with artificial islands and skyscrapers, investing billions. Saudi Arabia is launching NEOM, a futuristic city. Qatar leveraged its oil and gas wealth for cultural landmarks and global events like the FIFA World Cup. Even Kuwait has a thriving coastal capital. So why hasn't Iran, with a longer coastline than many, joined this glittering club? The UAE's success partly stems from its flat, sandy terrain, a blank canvas for developers. In contrast, much of Iran's southern coast is rocky, arid, and earthquake-prone, making large-scale construction far more complex and costly. Developing a world-class coastline requires massive, sustained investment, which Iran has struggled to attract. Decades of economic sanctions have largely isolated it from global financial systems, cutting off foreign investment that fueled projects like Dubai's Burj Khalifa. While neighbors courted international investors and embraced globalization, Iran often focused on internal resilience and self-sufficiency, prioritizing inland development and strategic security over coastal spectacle. The political factor is also crucial. Many neighbors have stable, oil-rich economies, allowing them to take big risks on ambitious projects. Iran, frequently embroiled in regional tensions and facing economic struggles, has focused on maintaining strategic control over its ports for trade and security, rather than turning them into luxury destinations. This divergence in economic capacity and political stability has created vastly different coastal landscapes across the Gulf. What does the future hold for Iran's coastlines? Could Iran ever develop a coastal city rivaling Dubai or Shanghai? Never say never. The country's strategic location and natural resources offer inherent potential. Chabahar Port, as noted, is a promising area, already undergoing development as a trade hub due to its advantageous proximity to international shipping routes and its location outside the turbulent Strait of Hormuz. With the right investment and a more favorable geopolitical climate, Chabahar could become a shining example of what's possible along Iran's largely untapped coast. If political and economic conditions improve significantly, and if the formidable challenges of geography and climate are addressed through innovative engineering and sustainable practices, there's no fundamental reason Iran couldn't develop its coastline further, unlocking latent economic and social potential. This would require a significant shift in national priorities and a concerted effort to overcome historical and contemporary obstacles. Perhaps one day, Iran's coastline will burst onto the global stage, revealing a new facet of this ancient and complex nation. Until then, it will likely remain one of the country's many intriguing mysteries, a story of unrealized potential waiting to be unraveled, a testament to the powerful interplay of nature and human endeavor. The narrative of Iran's coastlines is a complex interplay of geography, history, culture, economics, and politics. While the glittering cities of its neighbors might capture global attention, Iran's quieter shores hold their own stories, their own challenges, and perhaps their own unique future. The question of whether Iran should or will focus more on its coastlines remains open, a subject ripe for discussion among policymakers, economists, and the Iranian people themselves. What are your thoughts on this fascinating geographical enigma? Share your perspectives.